Vice Principal, Principal, and Director of Program Improvement. She also has 9 years of experience working as superintendent. Most recently, she served as dual superintendent for Amador County Office of Education and Amador County Unified School District. As the granddaughter of a cattle rancher, she was attracted to LVJ USD in part because of its agriculture and trade programs. Please welcome Tori Gibson to our community. Good morning, Tori.
Good morning. Great to see everyone. I know some of us just saw each other, I think it was last week, maybe. Some of you I've seen a couple times last week. So it's great to be here this morning. Thank you, Michelle, for your updates. I'm going to add on a little bit to what Michelle had. So let's see, we've had a lot going on in the district in the last 8 months. As Jody said, this is now my 10th year as a superintendent. I've managed to survive a pandemic and all kinds of craziness with budget cuts and different things. So education is always an evolving target, I'm just going to say, especially right now in the federal world. We are just going day by day. So it's always an adventure. But here in Livermore, we have some pretty exciting things happening. One of the things that's new and recent is our by trustee area new election process that will start in 2026. We will be notifying the community in a much larger scale as we get closer to 2026. We have been in an at-large situation, so meaning that wherever you live, you vote equally for, let's say, 2 or 3 board members every 2 years, depending on the year sequence. Now, what we are doing is we will be splitting up the community in 5 sections that unfortunately do not align with the city, because the mayor, I see John nodding his head, is the at-large member for the city council, and then they have 4 areas. The school district, we do not have that. So we have 5 by trustee areas, of which 3 of them will be up. Their seats will be up in 2026, and 2 of their seats will be up in 2028. It is slightly chaotic between now and 2028 because we have multiple trustees living in one area that will be up in 2026. So that lends itself for all kinds of fun that we will be navigating with the community. So you will not see every 2 years, you will not see that on your ballot any longer. Depending on your address, you will only vote for school board members in your area by the map that was selected by the board and approved by the county committee in the year that your area is an election year. So I'm happy to answer any questions on that going forward. This came about from a massive lawsuit that was happening across all school districts in the state, predominantly here in Alameda County. Multiple districts in our county were, I'm going to say, under attack because it's a very expensive way to go. Districts were spending 6 figures to battle a particular attorney who was seeking compensation because school districts in certain sizes were not following what he perceived to be the law, which required then school districts to go through the process. We received notice that we were on a list that the county had been notified about, and I opted to go to the board and have that conversation with them early on because of our budget situation. I really did not feel that spending $100,000 or more on a topic like this when we would have to do it anyways. I figured we'd do it our way instead of being told how to do it. So here we are in by trustee areas come 2026. So more to come on that. You'll probably forget all about it until you start getting your ballots at that point in time and you're questioning what in the world is happening. Our budget update. So I'm sure if you read the news, school districts across the state, Livermore, we are not unique to this situation, are really facing some pretty major budget constraints. Really what's happening is it's not that the districts across the state have not managed their money well. It has to do with COVID funds being not put on what we call the base of our LCFF. LCFF is a funding formula that's used by the state. That is how all of our monies come in and go out from the district. It's one of the funding sources. During COVID, we received billions of dollars across the country to build programs, to support students, to do infrastructure, all kinds of functions. Back about 2 years ago, when I was a county superintendent at the time, we were really doing a lot of legislative work trying to get lawmakers to put those funds onto the base so that we wouldn't be having these massive cuts. Well, they did not do that, and here we are. So we have been deficit spending about $6 million. We've been in what's called a qualified status. Educational finance is extremely complex. I'm going to try and keep it very simple in this regard. There's 3 levels that a school district qualifies themselves for. It's either a positive, a qualified status, or a negative status. A negative status means that you cannot meet your obligations within the current year. A qualified status means you cannot meet your obligations legally within what we call the MYP, which is the multi-year projection for the current year and 2 subsequent years. And a positive status is really where you want to be, is where you sit in a space where you can pay all your bills and all your staffing this year and your 2 out years. Per education code, and by law, we have to always have a minimum of a 3% reserve at all times. So at any time, if that dollar amount falls below that 3%, then the district legally is supposed to go into what we call the qualified status, which is that kind of step 2. So we have been in that status since last school year. Before I got here, I was so fortunate to inherit that fund. Cuts were not made last year. They should have been made. I have no problem saying that publicly. We should not have been kicking the can down the road because money doesn't fall from the sky. So here we are. We just got through the painful part of cutting $6 million from our current budget. I want to say 83% or more of our budget is all people. So you can imagine that 83% of our cutting comes from people, unfortunately. We are working on making cuts through attrition and some other functions so that we do not have to do massive layoffs in our community. If you look over, let's say in San Ramon, their current budget status is a $30 million cut. So to say we only had to do 6, I was like, we got this. And we managed to get there. Last night, our board approved what's called our second interim budget. So we do first interim in December of every year by law. By March 15th by law, we have to send to the county office our second interim budget. And I'm very happy and proud to say that the board approved our second interim and we are officially now in a positive status. And that's because at our last board meeting, our board approved our reduction in force resolution that we had recommended to them. So we now have between March 15th and May 15th to really figure out what positions we can keep, what do we really need to lay off, what's attrition. Bumping happens every bargaining unit. We have 3 unions that we navigate with this whole system. There's bumping rights for each individual person that's different in each individual bargaining unit. So we have education's far more complex, I think, than anybody ever really thinks. But we we'll navigate that with our union leadership and get through the process. But truly, our goal is to go through more attrition than actual layoffs. Unfortunately, we will have a few people that will be out looking for new jobs. But to be out of the qualified status was our number one goal. Our other goal financially is our teachers are paid less than our neighboring districts in Pleasanton and Dublin. We've done a cost or a salary analysis, and we sit around number, I'm going to say like 13 maybe out of 17. We might even be a little lower than that. Our goal is to get our teachers into the top quartile. They know that that's our goal. It's going to take us a few years to get us there, but that is our goal long term. So we will get there. It's just we have to. It's baby steps. It's money and it's finances. And right now with the federal government, about 3% of our overall budget comes from the federal government, which does not seem like a lot, but 3% of a $260 million budget is a lot of money. So Maryland Avenue School is one of our biggest funders from the federal government, which is a magnet grant program that allows us to have a brand new STEAM academy and some pretty amazing things for our students in that site. So we're watching all of the things unfold in Washington, D.C. every single day. So thank you to those of you who work for the lawmakers, because it is no easy task in today's world. We're really excited. Later this month, I know some of you on the screen are going to be attending our strategic planning event. It's a 2-day event We, unfortunately, in Livermore, we've never done strategic planning, which is interesting. So we will have a full 5-year plan that we will launch in August of 2025 that will come from this 2-day meeting. We have over 190 people attending, which I think speaks volumes to a couple things. Number one, the fact that people feel like they want to participate in this work, and number two, the importance of the work that we're going to be doing. Everything from, we have every classification of employee represented. We will have students, parents from every school site, our entire district leadership team, our entire school board, except for one, unfortunately, he's traveling overseas at that time, so he will not be here. We have community members. I think I said parents, and just really key individuals who play a part in what we do. We do a lot of work with LERPD. We do a lot of work with the city. We do a lot of work with the police department. So we'll have all of those agencies represented, as well as the lab and Quest. And I know that Sherry's coming. So we're very excited. It's going to be a really fun 2-day event, very active and engaging. So the goal then from those 2 days is the last 2 days of that week, we'll have a writing team that will collect all of this information that we intake over the 2 days, and we will create a strategic plan that'll get us from 2025 to 2030. Then in 2030, we will do a rinse repeat and redo the process and come up with another 5-year plan and evaluate our goals as we go each year. So super excited about that. It'll be at the Robert Livermore Center. If you're not participating in that and you have interest, please just reach out to me, and I will see if we can squeeze some more people in. I know Michelle talked a little bit about the school bond. We are going to start doing a pretty much a full court press out in a media blitz coming up. Probably April, May is when we will begin this process. We really need to sit down and look at where those funds have gone. As Michelle stated, the only funds we have left are matching dollars. Another very complex system for education is we do not receive facility funds at all from the state in our regular budget. So the money comes in. We are required to do routine maintenance on our buildings and our facilities, which, as we all know, is extremely expensive by itself, but that has to come out of our general fund dollar that just comes as a normal allocation. They don't say, oh, and here's another $2 million to, redo this roof because it's 30 years old or whatever. We have to manage that as well, which we do. However, that does not allow us to do massive projects. So school districts across the state now really depend on school bonds. That's how the state has set it up. Rural areas really struggle because they struggle to pass school bonds. We are very fortunate in our area that school bonds tend to be much more supported overall by the community. One of the exciting things for us is we have 2 bonds right now. If you own a home in Livermore, you see your tax bill. So there's 2 current bonds on there, one from I want to say 2002, and then the current one from 2016. The 2002 bond, we will be paying that off early, which is fantastic. So our goal is to go out for another school bond in June of 2026, so next summer, which will then be a no additional cost tax increase to homeowners. It'll be just a wash. It'll just be a status quo tax that would remain versus adding a third bond on top of the 2 that we already have. We are in need. We will, in our media blitz, our goal is to really highlight to the community all these rules and regulations around how we are and aren't funded for school bonds. Right now, we're waiting for about $16 million or more to be coming in from the state. And those are all matching funds. We cannot receive those funds without actually passing a school bond. So I don't think that the general population knows that. And why would you, right? So getting some of that information out, as well as just showing this is from 2016, this is where the $270 million went. These are the projects we said we were going to do. This is what we actually did, which is more than what we said we were going to be able to do. All of our projects came in under bidding pricing, as well as on time. And so I really want to highlight that to our community. And we really want to show our appreciation to our community for that. And so doing that media blitz, I think, will help us as we move forward. We will do another survey in the fall of next year. And then 90 days before the election, we have to declare if we are for sure going to put a school bond on the ballot measure. So that would be sometime in March. So you'll be hopefully seeing some of that flood your inboxes. And now that we talked about it, your Facebook will start seeing it all anyway. So you'll start getting all kinds of fun articles about it. We've had a couple large teacher work groups that we've put together, which is also new for us here in Livermore. I'm all about setting the stage and facilitating the work, but the people who the work affects are the ones that help us build the system kind of from the inside out and from the bottom up versus from the top down. And so we had two significant work groups this year. One that's completed, that was our high school schedule. So we changed our high school schedule last year. It's a whole nother complex situation. Instructional minutes are very complex for school districts. May not seem like it, but there's this rule and that rule. And if this doesn't apply, then that applies. And our current schedule that we're sitting in is not a long-term solution. So we pulled together, they've been trying to come up with an agreement with the teachers union for about 20 years to change the bell schedule for the high school. So I said, well, let's get them all in a room and, a team of people, and let's have them work through this. And so we did. And we had 3 different days that we came together. We worked through all the different functions. And so now we have our new bell schedule, and it's very similar to our neighboring districts, which is what we call a modified block schedule. So we will have 2 days a week where students are in block classes, meaning that they only go to 50% of their classes, let's say on Wednesday and Thursday. Those particular days are 90 to 95-minute courses, which is great for things like science and different things where art, where, by the time you get all your stuff out, the bell rings. And then the other 3 days during the week, they will see every single teacher, and they'll have all of their courses, all 6 classes. We'll also offer an A period and a B period. There's all kinds of other rules around what time we can start and what time we can't start. So the A period is not an official course that we can offer everything in that period, but we will offer some of our specialty courses during that time because it is a very early start time for our students. And then we'll have a B period after school, which predominantly will be things where students are already doing those classes anyways, let's say theater, music, dance, some of those courses that they're already doing it in after school activities anyways. And then it'll free up in the daytime, it'll free up their schedules for other academic courses. If you have children or have had recently children who have gone through the high school system, it has become pretty complex with AP courses and requirements to get into college and all the craziness that comes with education in this current decade. So so that work group is completely done. We finalized it. We created a memorandum of understanding with our teachers union. It was approved by 85% approval rate, which I was really going to be happy with 60%, to be honest. If you can get 85% of 700 people to agree on anything, that's a great accomplishment. So we were very proud of that work. So that's been done and finalized, and we're in master scheduling mode right now. And then our second work group that will be a long-term years of working together is our special education work group. So one of our challenges in our district is our special education programming just has not been really centered on strategic alignment of systems and programs and different functions. The federal government has requirements with special education, although it is mostly an unfunded mandate. So we are mandated to provide certain services to students, but the federal government only funds it 40 cents on the dollar. So we right now spend 60% of our general fund, or 60% of costs for special ed come directly out of our general fund, which we refer to as an unfunded mandate. We have lots of unfunded mandates in education, which is always kind of a maneuver that we have to get around. So we have a group of about 47, both teachers as well as administrators, people from all different levels who are simultaneously in a room. They're all broken out into teams. There's 4 different groups. They got to select the team that they chose to sit on for the next 18 months or more. And they're all simultaneously doing work in the room that eventually bridges to the other groups. If we did not do it this way, it would take us about 7 years to do the work that we need to get done. And we don't have 7 years to wait. So we are meeting monthly. We meet all day. And by the time they're done, they are definitely tired and ready to let their brain relax. It's a huge lift for this team. I'm very proud of the work that they're doing. And we look forward to really improving our services and just really being cost effective while providing our services to our students for what they deserve. Um, we have 56 school days left in the school year, which is crazy. This year has flown by at the same time as there are moments that it felt like it needed to hurry up a little bit more, but 56 days and then we will take a break and move along. We are working closely with the city on some of our properties that we are looking to rezone so that we can sell off some of our school properties that have been either vacant or semi-vacant. And we're working with those who are in those facilities over the next couple years to help find them a new location within our district facilities that we currently maintain. Our district office, I know there was some discussion about our district office moving, and that is no longer on the table. We will be doing some renovations to our current district office building, starting with our roof next month. So I think those are the big highlights. I'm happy to answer any additional questions or take comments or questions that you may have about topics I've already discussed or things that I have not discussed.
Excellent. Thank you, Tori. Any questions for Tori? Anyone? Well, thank you, Tori, for your hard work and dedication and all you do, including guiding our schools to financial stability. I'm sure your leadership commitment will make a significant impact on our students and teachers. So thank you for your efforts and thank you for all you do.
I think the mayor has a question.
Oh, Mayor has a question.
Not a question, but I just wanted to highlight something that Dr. Gibson brought out. I'll say the name. His name is Alan Shankman. He's a Southern California attorney, and he also came after the city. And that's why the city had to go to district elections. Some people suggested, well, why don't you just fight him? Well, the city of Palmdale spent $4 million.
Yes.
$4 million. And they lost, and they still had to go to district elections. So you either pay him 30 grand and
Yep.
go to district elections, or you spend a couple of $1 million,
Mhm.
then you pay him, and then you go to district elections. So this was
Ours
this is
was a
just
different
profiteering.
individual, but same exact concept.
Yeah, this is just profiteering because of his read of the California Voting Rights Act, and the state has done nothing to help us on that. Hey, I see Nathan Tran is in the audience, so maybe we can get some corrections to that and stop the Alan Shankman Full Employment Act. Okay, that's it. Great. Great.
Oh, we lost you, Mayor. I think you muted. Earlier in our program, I skipped Lynn Seppala. Lynn, would you like to present for, where are you at here? Livermore Cultural Art Council. Sorry about that, Lynn.